Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of All Nicked Up. Sorry, coming at you live and direct from the greatest city in the world, New York City. I am one of your hosts, Eric Holzman, and we are here on May 8th, 2024, pregame for the Knicks Game 2 second round matchup against semifinal matchup actually against the Indiana Pacers. So I'm not going to talk too much with a lead in. I'm just going to bring the guys in real quickly. So Joe and Ty, what's up?
What's up? What's up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, um, I'd rather be up 1-0.
Yep.
So I'm glad we are. Excellent game. Game one was. Of course, there's always controversy. It
Mhm.
seems lately when the Knicks play. So there's this game was no different regarding foul calls and refs missing violations or calling a violation when none exactly existed. Um, Man, this game had everything in it. Game one literally had everything in it that you could possibly want or not want. I could do without the ref stuff and all that, but whatever. So really quick impressions of game one. Uh, Either one of you guys could take it.
Well, I have to say that the trend of having really, really close, exciting games has carried over into the series. I
Unfortunately,
mean, it has been an entertaining playoffs for this year, absolutely. So, um, again, it's a blood pressure issue, you know, going through a lot of these games. But it was an entertaining game. It really was, and we were fortunate to get that kind of gift at the end of the no call, but that's also, like you say, that's been a trend in this playoffs. Um, so yeah, it's been exciting stuff so far.
yeah. Ty, what about you, man? What were your takeaways from the first game?
No, it's the same thing. Bubble guts. That's usually what you're going to get watching the Knicks. I mean, when is that not? That's never not been the Knicks. The whole time we've been Knicks fans, this is the kind of pressure cooker we've always lived in as fans.
Yep.
We don't know what's going to happen. And usually we're on the bad end of some of these calls at the wrong time. You know, it could be a last second shot, a heroic shot, phantom foul, you name it. It just so happens that I know they pull out these little 2 minute reports or whatever they want to do and recap the game and start rethinking it. I don't give a damn. We've been screwed that much. We've been screwed more than a screwdriver throughout the whole time we've been Knicks fans. I am not apologizing for any, I don't know, extra we get from the refs or mistakes or three blind mice thing, whatever's going on. I don't give a damn. I'm glad we came out with a W. I don't care about whatever means. You know, we've been screwed. We've been on the bad end of bad jokes and bad situations. So, you know, typical Nick game, always hard fought. We sometimes with self-inflicted gun wound people. You know, our players found a way to lose the game a couple of times. You know, with
Yes.
a couple of boneheaded plays, but you know, the result was a W in the end, and I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I famously said in our text chat, I said, "Look, I mean, I want the games to be called the right way, obviously, and I want everything to go the way it should go. But ever since the '97 brawl, I do not care anymore
Mm-hmm.
if the
Exactly.
Knicks get a benefit of some bad calls,
Yep.
because that to me in my lifetime, I felt like something was stolen from me. That series, because I've told you this time, I know you've said they still have to get past Jordan, and you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. But I really felt the way that team was playing that they were going to win that. They're going to be in the finals that season. I really, really did. So for me personally, that felt like something got stolen from me, ripped from my house. So I no longer feel bad when they get benefits for the down on calls, or if a ref misses something, you know what? Fine with me. Bring it, because we deserve some kind of good fortune. And that's the other thing I want to talk about before we get into game two.
Mhm.
I have read so many things in these past few days about how, the NBA wants the Knicks to win, and the NBA favors the Knicks, and they want the big market. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they want the big market. That part
It's
might be
entirely
true.
possible.
But I need to say one thing. if the NBA really favored the Knicks, how come we haven't won the lottery since 1985? How many times have we had chances to win? We even had the worst record, and we got the fourth pick. Granted, it was Porzingis, but they fell all the way to fourth.
Because I think you need like the real guys from like Ocean's 11 to rig that thing, and I don't know if that's a real thing.
I mean, that it makes me sick when I hear people say that. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, in this day and age, if that was the truth, because let's be honest, the sports is about ratings, and if Indiana Boston doesn't sound as good as New York Boston, right? Like, let's be real. So I wouldn't surprise me. But again, when you look at the history of things and you look at how things have turned out for the Knicks in the past, it's really hard for me to believe that. I still do not believe they rigged that first lottery. I don't believe they did. No. Whether you do or not, that's on you. But I don't think they did. Yeah. So whatever. I just had to bring that up because it bothered me reading these past few days. And the weird part is it's not from Pacer fans. It's from Sixers fans. The Sixers fans are the ones that are saying it. And I'm thinking, I'm like, how can you seriously say that when Maxey walked on that 4-point play, traveled, didn't get called? We all know what happened with Embiid.
And he should have gotten thrown out of that game. His 50-point game.
Exactly, man.
He got thrown out of those games during that series.
Exactly. So spare me that crap. I don't want to hear it. Spare me the crying and the nonsense. You guys lost. You lost. Move on. We're playing now, and let us have our fun. Let us have our moment right now. And game one again was another moment. What can you say about the Villanova guys that we haven't said already? I mean, just fantastic. Yeah.
Crazy guys.
Winners.
Yeah, man, that's really what it is. What Joe just said, winners. It's really
they have that clutch gene, all three of them. That's why, to tell you the truth, I don't worry that much in the closing minutes of a close game. I used to be terrified historically as a Knicks fan in those moments. But you kind of see that they have that clutch thing, that they seem to come out on top in those situations. And it's one of those three guys. Always.
It is. It is. They come from a fantastic program where they were coached by an excellent coach. And it's carried over for all of them into the NBA. It's been, it's a remarkable thing to watch because even the other Villanova guys who aren't on the Knicks play a certain way, and they're all cut from the same cloth. So it's really been, it's been awesome to watch. And the one question though that everyone has, and I still have it, is this sustainable with a limited bench? And Ty, go ahead, man, because we were talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what they bring to the table, they've been bringing to the table as a unit going back to college. So, were they consistent in college? The answer is yes. Did they win 2 national championships? Actually, Brunson won 2, DiVincenzo won 2, Josh Hart won 1.
Yeah.
So we know that worked. Now we're coming into the NBA. Granted, these guys haven't played their whole careers in the NBA together. But what has not changed is the continuity and also the trust factor that goes into when those three dudes actually lace them up and get on the floor together. We've seen some of the most clutch plays by a guy who at one point we questioned, was he overpaid? And now he's looking like, someone explained it better than me. They said that Josh Hart is playing the way that we wish Julius would play. And I was just like, that's a big thing because Julius Randle's an all-star, 3-time All-NBA player. You're looking at him and saying, you wish that you think Josh Hart is playing the role that he needed to play. Well, when you do glance back at Josh Hart, that's 20 points and 10 rebounds, which who had that on their bingo card? Who had that on the Knicks bingo card? I want to know. Anybody had it? I know damn well I didn't have it. I didn't really yell bingo at all because no one saw that happening because it's never really happened any other time with Josh Hart and all of his stops. We've known he was a great rebounder. We knew that for a guard. But what he's doing is absolutely stunning at this point because what you're seeing is a guy who's snatching rebounds on the level of what I consider to be Dennis Rodman's little brother. He gets stuff that he should not get because if anybody knew one thing about Dennis, he wasn't that tall. He wasn't this tall guy. I mean, we don't want to go Barkley small because Barkley was 6'4". Josh Hart's a little bit taller. But we are seeing a guy go in there amongst trees and just snatch the life out of other teams trying to get those boards. And then on top of it, he's like, I'm going to snatch it and then I'm going to run with it. I'm going to run it down your damn throat. Then when you're going to lay up, you're not going to stop anything that I do on the floor. I don't know if this is like sustainable, if it was a systemic thing, like, oh, what system or what game, plan we have. That's the thing about the Knicks. You don't know what the game plan is. I mean, we've always laughed about Tom Thibodeau not having a playbook. Well, how do you actually plan for Josh Hart? How do you plan for Jalen Brunson? We saw Philly somewhat successful, but I think it was more Jalen Brunson being in his own head than Philly actually doing anything. He sped himself up, anticipating too much. Then you got a guy like Dante DiVincenzo. He lulls you to sleep. Next thing you know, he sent you packing. These guys are brilliant at what they do, and I think that's the thing. They have a high IQ, and they don't play the kind of basketball that you can actually kind of scout for. Brunson's very herky-jerky. Everything he does is on the pivot. It's a give and go. You don't know. How do you guard him? I mean, I would love to see someone say, well, anticipate this is going to happen. Well, everything's instinctive. It reminds me of Elijah Wan. You ever watch Hakeem Olajuwon play? By the time he got the ball, you're like, well, what is he going to do? And more than likely, it's going to be score, but it was instinctive way of scoring. You couldn't plan for it. You can't plan for Hart, and you can't plan for Jalen Brunson. And Dante is just a sniper. I think people don't think he can shoot or play. Maybe it's the hue. I have no idea. Are they sleeping on the fact that they think that, you don't got enough of a tan, and they sleep on that? The next thing you know, you turn around, this guy is like daggers. He's hit two of the biggest shots maybe in Knicks history right now in the playoffs. So sustainable. Maybe if this was running the triangle offense, like, oh no, it can't work. But right now, I don't know. We're looking at three guys you can't account for on the floor, and the other guys are playing, very tough and strong basketball. They're tenacious as hell. Richard Jefferson. We don't, gotten on, the guy with the head that looks like you remember the television show with that alien head? The V character, we've talked a lot of crap about, but he came out in favor of us a couple of days ago saying the team you don't want to play is the New York Knicks. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. It's hard not to believe this now that it is sustainable. That it isn't sustainable. I mean, like, it's really hard to. Every time I expect them to tire out or just have a game where they look completely exhausted. Mm-hmm. Now there were times in the Philly series towards the fourth quarters that I felt like they were kind of gassed a little bit, definitely. But it's really hard to think that they're not going to keep this up. So, Joe, you were worried about that factor as well as the pace that the Pacers play at. What did you see in Game 1 regarding both of those things?
What I saw is one or two things that Rick Carlisle was having their offense do, either at breakneck speed, down, making him get back on D quick, or there was a lot of movement and motion in their set offense, which was making the Knicks work on D, and that's not by accident. They understand that they are a seven-man rotation. With Mitch gone right now, Precious becomes our seventh guy. They know that they just get off of a really hard series. They know that they are the younger, faster, and deeper team, and that is the advantage to be had. And I can't help but think that it is going to affect them later in the series. I think Game 1 was about as good as it was going to get. I do think it will affect them, and I don't want to be right on this, but I have the Pacers winning this series. I have since the beginning of the series.
You did.
Game 1 could have easily gone another way. And that was as fresh coming off of 3 days as this team is going to get. I think that they have an excellent, excellent coach who is going to try to push that advantage and try to attack that weakness. I'm not convinced they're going to lose because, again, I have seen so much out of this team as far as just having that clutch, getting the basket when you need it, getting the rebound when you need it, the fourth quarter theatrics. Like, I'm not convinced they're going to win, but if I had to put money on it, I would probably put money on Indy in this situation. I don't
Yeah.
think ultimately it will be sustainable, and I think Thibodeau's reluctance to play these players less and expand the rotation is going to hurt this team eventually.
That's logic speaking. I will say that. That's definitely the logic that most people have subscribed to who have picked Indiana. They just said that the Knicks are too short right now, player wise, and the pace that the Pacers play at, you're right, it's going to catch up to them.
I will say, though, if both of these teams were at full strength, because Indiana's both down Matherin,
right.
If both teams are at full strength, I think we would take them in 5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. I think they would beat on this team if they had a full roster.
I mean, they didn't beat them in the regular season. They won the series against us, and it's ironically I was
But
at the
we didn't have Anunoby and we didn't have Mitch, though.
No, you're right. We didn't. We had Obi for the game I saw, but he hadn't. It was right after the trade, so he hadn't been cleared yet, and he didn't play. I mean, it was a great game. That game was a great game that I went to. The Knicks came back and won it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle. Like I said, I keep thinking, yes, they're going to get tired. This is not possible. They're human beings. They're going to burn out. But then every time I say that, they win a game or they do something happens. The thing with this team is they're mentally tough. They never quit. They keep playing. They keep fighting. And, when you have a guy who can make shots, like Brunson can make shots, you have a shot. You always have a shot in every game. So, I mean, I do think it's going to go the distance. I do think this will be a 7-game series. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You did bring this up, but I made a little tag for it here. They say 6 to 8 weeks. Let's be honest, he's out for the season. Mitchell Robinson out of the year. He's not coming back. It kind of was something that it was a stress fracture, which is, you might feel a little pain, and then you go get it looked at, and you find out, you have something there. So definitely a blow. I think while it wasn't showing up on the stat sheet, I thought his presence was felt in the last game, especially in the second half. The first half, the whole team was kind of, I don't want to say slow, but they were getting beat on the boards. The first half, Indiana really executed their plan well. The Knicks kind of raised their level in the second half, and at one point, Mitch was a big part of that. So, especially because Hartenstein got into a little bit of foul trouble, so they had to take him out. So yeah, but it's tough with this guy. I mean, you see the impact he can make when he's healthy, but he seems to be injury prone now, and I don't know what this means going forward. But I mean, we know the impact. We know they can win without him. We've seen it. So, but I don't know. I just have a hard time thinking that his loss isn't going to be felt in some fashion.
It will. In rebounding.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I love Mitch. I mean, homegrown, we talk about it all the time. But in the same sense, we've been without him more than we've been with him. And even in key moments, I think that the adjustment is more or less, we're surprised if he's there more so than we expect him to be there. And I'm more than sure the team kind of feels the same way. It's like, oh, is it 7-Eleven time? Mitch is not coming in. He's not going to show up for the the 7-Eleven run. He's not coming back. You send him out for milk. He's on the carton, and you can't find him. That's literally what it's been like. When you think about Precious Achiuwa's impact during the season, it was at the expense of Robinson being out.
Yeah, it was.
He had his chance. He's proven that in spite of we want Mitch, Mitch becomes a want as opposed to a need all the time because we've needed him and he has not been involved. So what the team has had to do is they had to make some shifts and some pivots with certain players coming in saying, okay, now I'm going to fill the role that he would have filled. Precious is a better shooter. He's a better off the bounce player. He surprises people. Sometimes you're like, wow, I can't believe he even had that in his bag. And then you turn around much like OG Anunoby, we're seeing different things evolve that maybe you may lack with Mitch. You needed Mitch maybe with an Embiid type to help bully him around because he's a load. But now you have most of the guys that's on Indiana are fast-paced guys now. Miles Turner's a runner. You got Obi's a runner. You got who else is in that front line?
This guy Isaiah Jackson.
Isaiah Jackson, another live body.
Yeah.
You need more live bodies. Like when I watched game 1 with Mitch, I'm like, and Eric will tell you, the first thing I said is like, I don't know why he's even out there. I didn't even know about the stress factor, but I'm like, they should get him out of there real quick now because it's a quick precious in because I could just see where this was going. He's going to give you a Herculean effort. Nobody questions his heart. That's for damn sure. But in the same sense, we do need to have a live body and someone that we can depend on because there were some plays when you go look that back over again, you'll start to see where Mitch was just like basically like a statue waiting for the pigeons to come in because he couldn't move. He really had no mobility, and Precious may have been able to get to certain spots quicker, maybe provide a little bit more offense. I like Precious's game. I think that he is going to be a seamless fit filling in for Mitch because that's what he's been doing for the last 3 or 4 months anyway. He's been pushing in those minutes. I'm less fearful of the Knicks losing players now because we got second place and everybody was lost. And we've been always playing like it's playoffs. We've never not played like it's not been the playoffs. All year we've been playing like it's the playoffs. Every game is a dogfight because we have been undermanned. So that's why when you look at this playoff run and we look at Indiana and any other team that the Knicks face, it has to be an overwhelming amount of talent to beat the Knicks because they won't beat you on fighting and strapping. You're not beating the Knicks that way. You're going to have to beat them because your talent supersedes what the Knicks have, and the Knicks are just running out of talent, and meaning they can't find scoring. But you're not going to outstrap the Knicks. The Knicks are there to fight, and I give them a shot against any team in the league right now, Boston, whoever, because this is what they've been doing all year. They're not going to back down from the challenge because they've been challenged all year like no other team has.
But really quickly, this is my co-host from Straight Outta Gotham, Pete, and he's also a Pacers fan.
All right, later. We don't want to talk to you.
Let me ask you a Mitch-related question, both of you.
Sure.
How much – now, he went out before he was fully healthy. I mean, I think that's probably –
Sure, he wasn't 100%.
Sure. How much do you think that the Embiid pull-down affected that injury, that re-injury?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on – it's the left leg, am I correct?
Yeah.
Looked like Embiid pulled the right leg. I mean, what the move that people talked about was Embiid rolling into him may have caused some issue. Is when Mitch was on the floor and Embiid was on the floor and they kind of
I'm thinking when he pulled him down.
Yeah, the pulling down. Well, yeah, the pulling down looks like it was just the right. Not saying it couldn't have done nothing, but it seems like it was the right leg. But when I re-examined some parts of the game, it seemed like to me if that left part of his leg was actually injured, it may have occurred during that bullying into him while he's on the ground. That's something I could see, but I don't know. It's still some dirty damn plays. I'm so mad that it could possibly be that, but I don't know if I'm going to specify that it was the right leg is what he pulled. If it was the left leg, unless it came down awkward, I don't know. That could be possible.
And can we stop calling this stuff a stress reaction and just say the damn thing's broken already?
Yeah,
that's true.
Stressing us out by saying it's a stress.
Yeah.
He's gone.
I don't know. I'm kind of with Ty. I'm not sure if it was that caused it. I keep replaying the play in my head to see if after that I noticed much of a lot of a difference in him. But he's kind of been, since he's been back, like you said, he hasn't been 100% anyway, really. He's kind of been playing through whatever issues he had. Which credit to him, like, we were all worried. We were all thinking that we probably weren't going to see him at all this year.
Yeah.
So credit to him for coming back and making an effort, making a go of it. But yeah, man, it's just been a rough with him. Like we've seen his development and we've seen how good he's gotten, especially on the defensive end. When he's 100%, he's one of the best defensive centers in the game. There's no denying it. his presence is huge, and other teams don't attack like they do when he's not there. But at this point, I'm kind of like, all right, what are they going to do with him?
Yeah.
It's a very tough situation because, like we all know, I mean, not to go look into the offseason, but Hartenstein's up for a contract. So, I mean, Mitch is already signed, so he's there. But, what do you do with that at that point? I don't want to get into it now because we're still playing the season. We'll talk about it after. But it's something that they're going to be thinking about because, again, it's another season where he didn't make it through. So it's something the Knicks have to think about going forward.
One of the reasons I asked that, just really quick, was I saw something in the post today where Mitch was talking about revenge after the season. So I was wondering if he thought that it was because of Embiid that the leg was re-injured and he's
practiced some of that too. He walked it back a little bit too in another tweet saying that maybe it's my fault. I was running around on one leg and I should have not been playing. So
yeah.
I mean, when these guys get into all this extra chirping, it sounds like a bird factory. These guys aren't going to do anything. So you might as well not even tweet it. The time to do something was when he pulled your leg. Then you should have pulled his leg. I mean, this is what they get back. Mitch, we know these random tweets come out. He's an emotional guy.
Makes for a great headline, though.
He does.
Yeah, I think he's the best interview ball. I think Josh has taken his role as far as the best interviewer for the Knicks. I mean, it's Josh Hart clearly now. He's
Mitch will come up with some funny stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Those two, and I think the thing about Mitch, which is great, is no one saw that coming on the bingo card either because he was a mute. He was a damn mute.
So quiet.
Nothing when he first became a Knick.
Yeah, he was a mute when he came here.
Over press conferences, so it's a beautiful thing to watch and develop that way.
It is, and he has some responses. But sometimes he says things I'm like, okay. He's definitely been fun to listen to. I'll say that. I mean, obviously, I was talking like he's gone. He's not. He's under contract.
Yeah.
And unless they could trade him, he's not going anywhere. So he'll be back next year. But yeah, man, it's just sad. It's a sad situation. He seems like a good guy. You kind of want him to get his opportunity to really shine, and we'll see. I guess it's another guy we have to say wait till next year on because we have no choice. So, all right. So game 2 is tonight. Starts in about 33 minutes or so. 32 minutes, give or take a couple. What do you repeat anyway? So what changes do you think we're going to see made from the game plan, from Rick Carlisle's game plan? Either one of you could take it.
I think the game plan for game 1 was working just fine. I think it was accomplishing everything that he wanted it to accomplish. I just don't think they walked away with the win, which they easily could have. And again, Tyrese Halliburton is not performing like Tyrese Halliburton. I think make the Knicks work. Make them work on defense, keep the pace fast, try to get them tired. It's their best bet, I think, in the series. And I think they'll stick to that. Carlisle, like I told you, Eric, I think is the second best coach in the league. I think he's excellent. And I think he's going to try to play to that advantage. So I think a lot of motion on offense, ball movement in the set offense, and they're going to sprint when they can.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I said in the first half, I was with you, Joe. I think to all of you guys, I said his game plan was working perfectly.
Yeah.
They were rebounding in the first half, out rebounding the Knicks in the first half. They were moving the ball. They were getting good shots. But again, so Ty, thinking about that and thinking how they did execute the game plan like the way he wanted, and they still didn't win the game. Do you think it's a matter of he needs to make changes, or do you think stick to the game plan, we're going to get one?
I think if he sticks to the game plan, they're going to lose game 2.
Okay.
If he sticks to that same because the thing that we're not talking about is the thing that I've been talking about. It's what the Knicks did to Halliburton. Now, if he can get an extra thigh and a leg at KFC to fix that hamstring, then maybe we're talking about a different style of play that might exist. But in the same sense, we got to look at what the Knicks did against Halliburton. So goes the head, goes the tail. That's the theory in life, it seems. When you look at Halliburton, they took away the advantages he has. His height is an advantage, which we all know about that.
Yeah.
He has a tremendous passing skill. We know about that. What makes him dangerous when you bite on what he does. And the Knicks did not bite on the moves. When you watch him, he's a perimeter dancer. His dancing moves are on the perimeter. He's not going to take you off the bounce all of a sudden. Not that he can't, but there's a likely chance that 9 out of 10 times he's going to dance around the perimeter, wait for you to make mistakes, leave your guy open. Because when you look at Miles Turner's dunks, it was the Knicks bad with their rotations. And then all of a sudden he was finding him always in the middle of the paint. Bam, bam. He became a huge target. That's what Halliburton's great at. He finds the target. He finds the guy that's open when he's cutting. If you're not paying attention, you're not playing him aggressive enough to make him have to think off the bounce, you're going to allow him to just pick you apart. The Knicks, when you recall that game, I'm going to give him the hamstring issue. Obviously, he has one. He hasn't been playing to an excellent level for most of since post All-Star game. So we know that he's a little bit of a wounded animal. But in the same sense, the Knicks took full advantage of whatever he can't do. They're like, we're going to ride this guy completely around the perimeter. We're not going to allow him to set up. He only got that shot off, I think, 1 or 2 times. It was that clunky shot he gets that you don't think can go, but it ends up going in. I think he had 1 step back 3 against the Knicks. When he was starting to, survey the floor, the Knicks weren't giving him any angles. The Knicks are great at deflections. The Knicks are great at being in the passing lanes. And they're good at just being on top of him. Shout out to Dante DiVincenzo. We've seen him do it with Maxey. We've seen him do it with Halliburton. You underestimate the Ragu and think that he can't play. Like he's a one side of the ball type of player. Those Villanova dudes are some damn dogs.
Yeah.
Some damn dogs. When they get at it, you in for a long damn night. And if you got a hurt hammy and you're trying to move, and then this guy's always a thorn in your side, and they're picking you up sometimes, whatever, half court, full court, and they're like, I'm sticking by you tonight. They play like it's amazing. They've taken college basketball and played it in the NBA. Because in college, that's usually what the tenacity is. We're going to pick out players, and we're just going to pick you up full court. Nobody does that anymore. Mm-hmm. Nobody picks anybody up full court and says, I'm going to give you a hard night tonight. That's what you're seeing. So as much as Carlisle's plan has to be to call up Oscar Goldman and get Tyrese in New Hampshire. Not a bionic man.
Well, in that same vein, TJ McConnell, noted Knick killer,
that dude
was killing them.
That dude was killing.
He was killing them.
Yeah.
And so that's why that was kind of what I was trying to get at with you, both of you guys. For me, I would have told Halliburton, look, you don't have it right now, but TJ's killing him, so we're going to stick with him. Mm-hmm. And we're going to ride this out. Now, I know he's your star, and it's hard to do that. You don't want to bruise any egos.
It doesn't happen in today's NBA.
And it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't happen in today's NBA. But, but that, I think if they would have done that, I think Indiana wins that game going away, in my opinion. They were up 9, and I believe that's when he took them out. So, they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
When somebody's
it wasn't. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think that you wouldn't want your quote unquote best player in the game, because when he's healthy, he's their best player. But it was just kind of strange watching that game unfold. And I was even thinking to myself, I'm like, I say it all the time, because no matter what team this guy's on, he kills the Knicks. It doesn't matter what team this dude has ever played on. And I've always wanted them to sign him for that reason. I'm like, would you just get him on the team so you don't have to play him anymore? But man, that guy. So that would be if I was Rick Carlisle and the game was going the same way and he's playing well. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can kind of put Halliburton at the 2, which they did for a little while. They had them both in at the same time. Maybe stick with that for a little bit and try and play them together. I don't know, but that guy, man, he sees the Knicks, he sees the orange and blue, and he becomes like Mark Price 2.0. Just
Yeah,
here
that's
he comes.
that's very good. Yeah, Mark Price.
He
Yeah,
becomes he just becomes this guy
What
who
a defender.
yeah, he is. He's just like the Villanova guys. He's has a lot of tenacity. He plays, at a breakneck pace. He's an energy guy. Can't shoot. He did hit the 1 3, but he really can't shoot. So when I saw him hit the 3 in the quarter, I was like, oh crap, he's gonna hit that shot. I was like, oh God.
he's definitely good. He definitely could play for Tom Thibodeau because he definitely plays
Oh yeah,
basketball.
definitely.
It's all guts and no glory. He just doesn't give a damn. He's going to get at you. It's going to be a long night playing against TJ McCollum. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I'm looking for I'm looking for Carlisle to make small adjustments. I'm also looking now on the Knicks side of things. I'm looking again for the coach to extend the bench a little bit. I don't know who that is. Don't know.
I was going to say who.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who?
Maybe want to shake a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he goes in and plays a couple minutes.
Shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yep. Shake it like a soul shaker, whatever you want to do. I don't know. Maybe he gets a little bit of time. Maybe Alec Burks, like I've been mentioning, maybe a guy who's a veteran, who's has played well for this coach before.
That was your prediction, him breaking out.
I said he's going to have a fourth quarter. That's my prediction. He's going to have one game in the fourth quarter where he has one of those 15-point fourth quarter performances and closes out a game for them. I still see it happening at some point.
I think that has to be the guy they extend minutes to is Alec Burke. I can't see it being. I mean, Deuces they can bring up Deuce's minutes. I mean, I guess you can increase it. Sure. He's going to play 51 minutes in a 48-minute game. When you look at the other guy that's up next, it has to be. You can't throw. I don't think you throw Jericho Sims out there because it's got to be Precious gets bumped up.
Yeah, Precious definitely
for that role, and then you got to bring in Alex to at least give you those minutes that Bojan or Bodega, as they call him, would have gotten. If he had not got injured. So, Alec Burks, he's due. He's due.
Yeah, it's not like he exactly lit the world on fire coming back here.
No. Well, that's the thing. He was shooting 40% in Detroit from 3. So, what happened there? I know sometimes with trades happen, you have the other things to take care of. You don't exactly get right in, especially middle of the season trades.
Well, for Bojan to settle in.
Yeah, it did take a while. So we'll see, what happens. But that's again, the logic that we all talked about already with these guys playing such heavy minutes, you have to give them rest. Yeah. Like they're not robots. You have to give them rest at certain points. And I'm sure if the Knicks get a lead, like have a nice lead, you can maybe 7-8 points, certain point, you could throw one like Burks out there and say, hey, let's see what you got.
Tibbs ain't doing that because no lead is safe.
But logic dictates my thinking. So
I'm left brain too, dude. I get you.
It's so funny watching when during the post game. Sometimes they bring up the minutes to these guys, and they're like.
Speaking about McConnell, just revisiting that, did you hear what Hart said about him?
No,
he said he plays like him. I heard that.
He called him an annoying little shit in the best possible way.
No, Hart's the best. I mean, he's the best quotable right now.
But Hart. He then said, "That's how I play too."
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it was meant to be a compliment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They all gave TJ his flowers. Brunson was another one said, "This dude basically he's annoying." But in the complimentary kind of way because he keeps coming and he's keeps coming and he's relentless. You got to respect that about any player. I always say that about Russie. He's goofy as hell on the court, but the tenacity he plays with, I can never argue about a guy who's committed to leaving it all out on the floor every night, and he's going to be competitive the whole game. So you can't.
All right, so I wanted to bring another guy up because he used to be a Knick. So Obi Toppin in game 1 was effective.
Yes.
He had a very effective game. He had that dunk, and everyone's like, "How could you do that?" I'm like, he does it all the time in games. Why is it any different? It's just because it's a playoff game. He does it in every game he plays. We've seen it many times. I didn't make a big thing out of that at all. People were trying to jump on it. It's like, oh, it's disrespectful. Also, I'm like, no, it's not. He just is that's what he does. Like, leave him alone. So, to me, if I was the coach, if I was Indiana's coach, I would play him more. And again, I don't know their system. I don't know what they do. I would play versions of him with Isaiah Jackson and that, because to me, that is their fastest team.
Mm-hmm.
When he's on the court, that is their fastest
That's a very
team.
good point.
And if I'm the coach, I'm just like, I want to run this team out of the building because how tired they have to be. That's how I'm thinking. So do you think we'll see more of him?
I think what you're saying makes complete sense. And I think it fits along with the strategy that I was talking about earlier. It absolutely does. And he's also stroking the ball really well. He's shooting from the outside really well. Yeah, and they don't, with Halliburton not playing well, it's not like they have an abundance of dependable, high-scoring offensive talent. And the most dangerous thing about this team is if they start opening up on the fast break and putting up points in bunches.
Right.
When you're tired, Right. So, yeah, what you're saying makes complete sense.
So, really quickly, breaking news. Nikola Jokic won his third MVP award. They just announced it.
Wow. I'm shocked. Not about him, but who I told you I thought should win? I thought it was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because
there's a legitimate argument for that.
OKC, I think Jokic should have won it probably last year over Embiid. That's just how I always said he's been pretty much the MVP of most of the years. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if anybody watched that OKC game, it's pretty damn good for a young team. I wouldn't want to play them. They're like people say they don't want to play the Knicks. I wouldn't want to play OKC.
No.
Those are some damn dogs over there in OKC. There's a bunch of Westbrooks running around in OKC.
How scary is that team?
They're not even good
they're
yet.
Young with all of that draft capital too, and the moves that they can make. Like
that is my dream franchise. Like that is how Eric builds a team. The way they did it, that's how I would do it.
Yeah, I would trade all of our picks for Sam Presti probably.
Let me tell you,
dude, so good.
He's been brilliant.
He's legit, man.
Two regimes now. He reminds me sort of, which is almost like how Riley has been, wherever he lands.
Or Jerry West, right?
Jerry West, what Jerry West is probably the better example. They just land somewhere and all of a sudden you got a culture and all of a sudden you might be a championship team. For him, but what's more impressive is that's OKC.
Yeah.
To bring in players and then to know how to manage players like the Chris Pauls, that you keep him around for a couple of seasons and then you unload him for an asset. Meanwhile, he's building the culture of the players that's playing with him, the young guys. It's been the most brilliant thing. I mean, we used to be R.C. Buford. I always tip my hat to him being the best.
Yeah.
Sam Presti is by far what he's doing to get Shai Gilgeous, because I know the Clippers must be like, damn, we traded Paul George. They have to be thinking that.
Yeah, they get SGA and
bad management by their part.
Yeah.
Two wounded guys over there that you may not. Probably PG-13 is gone, and Kawhi's never came back, so we don't know.
God.
That's his hometown. I think it would take a lot for him to leave.
Who's Kawhi or George?
PJ, Paul George.
Yeah.
I think he's out. I don't think I think if he's going to want a lot more money than they're probably going to willing to pay him. But they're that big arena, so now you're moving into your own arena, and your best star quality player don't want to really play. I'm just keeping it a buck with Kawhi. I don't think he wants to play anymore.
I don't want to be the franchise on the other side of that Paul George contract.
Well, we might be. No, I don't think he's coming here.
No.
I don't think.
No.
I don't think.
We know, Pete. We know he left you guys. He left Indiana. We know. uh, Paul George. So
He should have stayed in Indiana, to be very honest. That's where he should have stayed. He's never landed in a better place than when he was in Indiana, because that team
well, that's
was
where he became a star. So yeah,
yeah, that team was knocking on the door of, at the time, I think it was Miami. He played Miami very tough those years, and who's to know if they would have brought in an extra player to play with Paul George, they might have competed really good against Miami. But it's all under the bridge now.
All right, so we're touching a little bit now about the rest of the NBA, and I brought up Jokic winning the third MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to talk about this because this has been the biggest surprise to me of the playoffs so far. Now, granted, Minnesota is an extremely talented team, and anyone who tries to say that they're not or that they shouldn't be here is nuts. I've said this before. I brought up in the chat that they were asking who's had a better playoff, Brunson or Edwards, and Stephen A is the one who kind of was. He's an idiot, but he was kind of trying to say that it's Edwards because he's been doing it by himself, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" He has
a well-rounded team.
Yes, he has another top 15 player in Towns, probably. You could argue where he is on that list, but I would say he's in that top 15 range. You have Edwards, and you have arguably the best defensive player of the last 20 years as your center. So, I mean, he hasn't played in this series because he had a child. So, or he didn't play game 2, I think. He might have played game 1.
Play game 2.
He played game 2.
So, I mean, but still, that team is good.
Oh, yeah.
And as great as Jokic is, they can throw guys at him all game. That's the thing. And you're seeing it bother him. Like Gobert is, the size. Towns has a little more quickness to throw at him. Reed is Reed is the 6th man of the year. And I mean, so
Conley, you don't think about him also? They got some team.
Jaden McDaniels playing defense on the wing.
Yeah, like they have, and with this version of Jamal Murray that we have right now, who's compromised, who's hurt, he's clearly not 100%. You could tell he doesn't have the burst. I mean, I'm surprised that they're down 0-2, but when I think about it logically, it really shouldn't be that surprising because without Murray, again, Jokic is the best player in the world, but Murray's the guy who makes the difference. When he's healthy, they're a really, really good to great team, championship level team, and when he's not, they're not.
Yeah.
So, being that they're a champion and being that they have Jokic, do you think they can come back and make this a competitive series, or are they done?
Of course they can, but will they? I think is the big thing. I've really liked what I've seen from Minnesota, and I think at full strength, you don't really bet against Denver, but for all the reasons that you're saying right now. And I did watch that first Minnesota-Denver game, and Minnie looks good. Anthony Edwards looks good. Talk about a guy making a leap.
Yeah.
I think, of course, they can. I mean, you can't have that much talent on a team with that much high-level playoff experience not come back. But I don't think they will in this series. I think Minnesota is going to close them out relatively quickly.
Okay. Ty, I think you probably feel the same, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, really, the question mark from Denver is leadership. And what I mean by that is we know Jokic, he's the best player in the NBA as far as I'm concerned, best player in the world. But in the case of what we're watching with Minnesota, this has to do about attitude adjustment. And what I mean by that is the one dog that Denver has, because you need a dog in this fight, because Anthony Edwards is a dog. I mean, he's got the whole kennel behind him, how he plays.
Yep.
He's got Towns believing he's a dog, even though he's a puppy. He's got him like barking. He's one of the bulldogs. They think they're bigger than whatever. So he's smiling and shooting threes. But he thinks it sounds like a growl. The real growler is Anthony Edwards right now, and we know.
And Reed, yeah.
And Nas Reed's got some growls. You got some dogs in the kennel there with Anthony Edwards. Gobert, we know one chokehold, one Kroger clutch, he might be out. So dog, he's a French poodle to a degree. He's just a tall French poodle. Anthony Edwards is a dog. They got some grinding, nasty dudes on the floor. Conley. Now look at Denver. Jokic is maybe the most underwhelming star we've ever seen in NBA because he doesn't have that bravado. He doesn't have the attitude. He has the game that backs up that makes him have to not talk. That's really what it is. He's just a tremendous talent. The Barker in there is the guy who can't play right now, which is Murray. Murray's the dog on there. Then you got maybe a guy like Brown who's a dog.
Yep.
But if Murray is not barking, if he's barking and not biting, because really that's what he's doing now. He's more barking than biting because he's complaining. He doesn't feel himself, obviously. Michael Porter Jr., we know he's more like a little kid.
What about Aaron Gordon? Aaron Gordon's got some dog in him.
He got some terrier in him. He does have it, but his game doesn't translate offensively to say, I'm going out here and I'm going to punish you guys.
Yeah.
He feeds off of what Jokic does. They have great chemistry. Those two dudes are dynamic. When he gets in the paint, those little passes, and all of a sudden Aaron Gordon's finishing them, you can't finish against these guys. So those little slick passes that Jokic was getting away with, you got these limbs that are like, give me that, give me that, give me that. You're not getting that. You're not getting that either. Now it becomes frustrating because now you need a perimeter guy to be a dog and say, all right, you took away that. You can't take away me. If you watch Murray, you can see that he can't. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have that leg, which has been always the concern with him, is that his wheels sometimes are not as good. You know, when they won last year, he was still coming back from an injury, you know, a 2-year injury, and he finally was back to being almost whole of what he was, his potential. That's why they ended up winning. Now he's come this year, he's had some damage to that wheel. You know, he's been out of games. So you're asking Jokic now to be a world beater, and he's outgunned because he doesn't have a Denver never really had a third player. They had a great number one who was probably the equivalent of 2 All-Stars, and then they had Murray. So that made their trifecta of 3 great players on the team. They don't have a third guy. Aaron Gordon's not going to do that. We know Michael Porter Jr. is going to go, you know, crying the car like he's red. Debo just take his chain, he going in the car. You will not see him. He's a milk carton, in which he's been. He's been on the back of some milk cartons right now.
It's a very, very, very wealthy milk carton.
Very wealthy milk carton. And talk about talent. He's the Kevin Knox of that team. He is literally Kevin Knox.
He's better than Kevin Knox.
He's better. But I'm saying when you look at that team, his game should be even way better than what it is. Because now guys are not even doubling you. You're an afterthought. You're the third guy afterthought. And you choose to shoot threes. That's what I mean by the Kevin Knox. Kevin just wanted to shoot threes.
I think also his back's trash. I think his back is trash.
Well, I mean, he's had that problem since he's been drafted. So yeah, his back.
He recently talked about how much it takes for him to how much prep it takes for him to actually get on the court.
That's like the Larry Bird thing. Remember the same thing with Larry Bird with his back? Yeah. They said they had to like spend hours to get him ready to play a game. But if you watch Porter, man, there's sometimes he does moves, and I'm like, wow. But it really does have tons of talent. This guy is
very talented. Skills
all over the place. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's probably like Joe. You're probably right. It's probably the back. That's probably part of it. It's probably it limits what he can do. So that's why we only see it sporadically. He talks like he's a dog. Like he talks.
He chirps.
He likes to chirp a lot.
He's full of people that talk like that.
But yeah, man, he's really the guy. Like I think when they decided that this was going to be the core, he was the guy that they said, okay, we think he's going to be, a borderline all-star great player, and he just hasn't developed there. So the fact that they even won last year, when I think about it, is kind of impressive. Again, when Murray's healthy though.
But Jokic is impressive. He's a hell of a talent.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's why. I've said before, I said if he's not on that team, they are a play-in team or a lottery team. With Murray, no knock against Murray, because I'd love to have him on the Knicks if he was healthy. He would be the great compliment to a guy like Brunson. But in the same sense, when you think about it, Jokic is just that damn good. That's why they won. It had nothing to – Murray is the Pippen of that group. I mean, we don't knock Scottie Pippen. It's just – we know Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen was a complimentary player that happened to play at a high level. But
Talking about Jokic's MVP, I'd be really interested to see what the vote distribution was on that because you bring up a really interesting point, Ty. SGA has a legitimate case for that. But I'm also interested to see if Brunson got any votes. Because
Jalen Brunson was fifth.
Fifth?
He was fifth. Yeah, he was fifth. So this is how it broke down. Jokic earned 926 total points with 79 first place votes. Gilgeous-Alexander earned 640 points, 15 first place votes. And Doncic earned 566 points and 4 first place votes. Then you had Giannis and then Brunson. That was the top 5.
I'm glad Brunson finished in the top 5.
So,
he deserves to be in that top 5. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if
this year.
Yeah. And you wonder if like Randall got hurt earlier and he did this, if he would have been higher on that list. And the Knicks still did what they did, if Brunson would have elevated in the pecking order. Because then if they were this good and they had Randall even less, then you're kind of like, okay, you got to put him as maybe he definitely probably would have been a finalist because he wasn't a finalist. Those 3 were the finalists.
I still believe Shea lost that. That to me just is baffling.
It is surprising that the first place votes, he only got 15. That's the surprising part. That Jokic got 79 and he got 15 first place vote. That is shocking to me. I agree. I did not expect it to be that wide.
And it's not like a big market versus a small market team. They're both kind of small market teams. Denver's,
Do you think there's an argument that SGA had a better supporting cast? Some of those guys had big years.
He does. I mean, he does have a better supporting cast, in my opinion.
Anytime I hear Lou Dort, I'm not thinking that he has no.
He had Chet.
Jalen Williams.
Chet's a rookie. He's still
Chet's
a rookie.
Very good rookie.
Yeah, but
he is. But you think about it,
he's also a very good player. They got some guys on that team. They're young.
But they're in first place in the Western Conference.
They finished tied. The records were tied, but Denver, OKC got it because they won the season series. So they were the first place team in the conference. He averaged 30 a game.
Yeah, he's been balling, man.
It is a little surprising. Not that he didn't win it, but that the first place vote was so wide. That's a huge gap. 79 to 15. That's a lot.
Maybe it is a small market team in familiarity with Jokic. There's a lot more familiarity with Jokic than there is with SGA.
Don't get me wrong. If you're doing it based on who's the best player in the world, then Jokic deserves it.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? If that's what your criteria is, but based on this season, it's supposed to be a seasonal award. And so I can see the arguments that for him winning it, but that first place vote is really surprising to me. Yeah. That's a big
SGA has been a monster this year.
The league MVP thing always was weird to me. I don't know what that's supposed to even mean. It should be best player with the best team. Right. I would say you're the best player on the best team, and you have to have the stats to back it up. He has the stats. He has the wins. They are the best team statistically. I'm just wondering what would he have to do next year to actually win it? What do you have to do to win it? He's done everything this year to be the winner. That's what I don't understand what he's going to do next.
Yeah, I think it might be like you said, Ty, though. You said if Jokic isn't on Denver, they're a play-in team or, a lottery team. Mm-hmm. To Joe's point, OKC does have more talented players. So maybe that's part of the thinking that, without SGA, they might still be a decent team. Whereas without Jokic, they're not. Because don't forget, Oklahoma City has Giddey. They have a guy who can slide into that position and play it. He's not as good, but he could do that. So, yeah. Well, it was a little surprising. Again, not that he won, just the first place vote difference was a little bit of a shock to me. All right, really quick scores for tonight. Who do you got scored? Joe, go ahead.
110-106, and I am going to go with Indy.
Okay.
Wow. I'm going to probably make this a low-scoring game. I'm going to probably go 98-96. 94. I'm not going Knicks. I'm not cornfielding the damn thing. We ain't going over to Indy. Hell with that, Barn. We going.
I'm trying to be objective, man.
I'm not. I'm a rude looker. I want them to kick their arse tonight.
You still got that spicy Mexican food in you, man. I could hear it.
Bruh, I done told you. Tulum food.
I'm gonna say 113, 109, but I'm gonna go with the Pacers as well. I think they're gonna take this game tonight. I hope I'm wrong.
So do
I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know.
I feel guilty picking them, man.
I do too, but I do think, like I said, I think this series is going 7, and I think the Knicks can win a game in Indiana. So, yeah, that's my pick right now. So, all right, let's close this one down because it's game time. We're about to start. Everyone who's watching us, enjoy the game. Comment on it. Comment on the video if you guys want to talk to us about it. We love interacting with everybody. So for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You're watching All Nicked Up. Enjoy the game. See you next week.